podcast, Jewelry is Your Side Hustle with Sugar Gay Isber. Today we have a crochet maker. Like she's a world-class pattern maker, book writer. She has so many things to share today about the art of using yarn. And I am so glad to have her. Today we're having Salena Baca. Yay, we're so glad that you're here. And we know each other through the Craft Industry Alliance, which is one of ours. We call it CIA. So if you are looking for a really great place to join and you're a yarn person of any sort, like there's all different kinds of this, or maybe any kind of craft maker, we want you to be we want to be your friend. So take it away, Salena, and tell me about how's your day and where are you? Let's start with that.
Hi, yeah, I'm Salena Baca and I'm chiming in from Central Oregon. I live in Bend. And yeah, I've lived here. I've lived all over the world, but I've been living here for coming on 11 years now. So that's
Well,
where I'm.
I think it's a pretty good craft area, right? Like people respect it there.
Oh, they totally do. And in contrast, before I moved here, I lived in New Mexico and people did not appreciate crochet in New Mexico.
Because they don't wear scarves and sweaters that much, maybe. They didn't
Um,
understand it.
I think it's quite a few things. Yeah, they don't really, wear the accessories, but I think just as a craft, I just found people were not interested in it as a craft.
Well, your sweater is just mesmerizing because that's one of my favorite colors, arsenic green,
Mine too. I
which
loved it,
is
but I bought this in a store. I did not
you
crochet this.
should have lied. It's
It's
so good.
machine knit. I can't do that. No, actually, I fun story about me. I crochet so many different things. And I actually have a stack right here that I cannot show anyone yet. So many of the things that I make, I have to museum quality, like put them away because I need them to be photographed for something. So
Yes,
it's like I
yes.
can't enjoy them for a really long time. So I have to wear stuff from the store
Well, I would have bought
to the
that. Give
time.
that to me. That's so good. It's a great
I'm glad you
color.
like it.
It's just that
Thanks.
color just makes me so happy. Every
Me
time I
too.
see that color, it makes me happy. And I just posted something on my Facebook, Gay Isber, Sugar Gay Isber, about this color because this color in the 1800s was actually made with arsenic. And it's a really great story that I posted. I kind of like took some scripts, but it was about how they used it for wallpaper and it kind of made people insane. And then the
Oh,
insane people were told to stay home and don't do anything and stay in your room. And it just made them more insane. I was like, but that's the story
whoa.
about it. Yeah, it's a
I
great
love
on
historical
the
things
yeah,
like that.
me
That's
too. I
insane.
think it was like the Smithsonian or somewhere, which is my favorite go-to. Anyway, enough about me. It's all about you. Take it away. Tell us about what are you doing right now? Like where are you going with your crochet? Because it's quite the skill.
Thank you. Am, I want to say I'm kind of coasting right now. I'm in a really good place where I'm coasting because I started this particular business 15 years ago. And I just worked myself to death for a really long time to create the vision that I had back then, which was online courses, which were different crochet patterns that could just kind of help people enjoy this craft. I started all of this because I really wanted to assure that crochet was passed through the generations in better hands than we found it. And I feel like everything that I've done supports that. And now, like I said, I can just kind of coast. I can fine tune things. I have time to be on podcasts and talk about crochet. So right now is a pretty good time for me.
It's kind of about the joy of it and also playing. I think that's where we, as artists, really get to like create in our own little world. If we're not thinking about, oh, I have to make this for a customer, or I have to make this for a book, or I have to make it's for the joy of it that we get to create. And that's where our best selves come forward. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I feel like there are so many things in well, I mean, I crochet because it was a hobby and I loved it and it was fun. I didn't start crocheting because I was like I'm going to turn this into a career. So there are so many aspects about running a business, especially when you're a solo entrepreneur, that are not fun and they do kind of suck the life out of you, but they're like necessary evils. And I feel like there's still a lot of those things that I have to do, but I've worked out my business in a way that if I am doing something that is related to my craft and I don't love it, I really have to reconsider it. If I don't enjoy this, how is someone else going to enjoy this? Like if I'm kind of trudging through something, then how am I selling joy to someone else? I'm not. So that really kind of guides me in terms of what I do, where I am, and how how I present things to the crochet world.
Where are your books available? Because I know that you're famous, but where are they? Tell us about that because I want to know. I seriously want to know because I've done books too, and it through
Yeah.
a publisher and through Amazon,
Hmm.
K2P. And tell me
Hmm.
about your book journey because we're the same, and I love that. So that's another little thing that we have as friends is that we both have really taken that leap, which is not so easy. Seriously.
Mm-mm. No, it's not. So I was self-published for a really long time, and that was just on an individual level. I would write a pattern and publish it myself. And then after doing that for quite some time, I wanted to learn more and do more. And I felt like getting a publisher could be a really good way to do that. So I do have a publisher. I've been with them for, I think this is 10 years this year.
Who's the
And
publisher? Who's the publisher?
Stackpole Books. Hmm. And my books are available anywhere books are sold. So if you're at your local Joann's or Michael's or Barnes and Noble, or if you buy books online, anywhere books are sold, my books should be there and available too.
Okay, well, I saw one of the names of the books and it was so cute. It was like crochet love and is that your like I don't know, what was it?
Oh, well, my tagline is
Yeah.
peace, love, crochet. That's
Yeah.
always, I feel like when that's just like my motto and it's like my sign off. It's something that I say. Yeah.
That's so funny because mine is peace, love, and sugar. On every
Oh,
email, that's my sign off on every email, everything I do. Peace, love, and
I,
sugar. So we have another
I,
thing. That's three things.
mhm.
We're the same.
We have a lot in common. I
I
know
know.
we've just met. This is our first actual conversation, but when I first heard you talk, I was like, we need to connect. So when you had this opportunity, I was like, I'm signing up right now.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And not only that, I'm just coveting that sweater that you've got on there. Just make it so
It
happy. I
is
don't know.
full length and it has
Oh,
pockets.
well, that's great. You
And it
should
has
make
this
it.
pattern on the front and then
Oh,
it's
nothing on the back. But you could make a
yeah.
pattern for that. You could
I'm
do
sh
that, right? Like
I
that would be
could. I
that's really knitting. That's knitting.
totally could.
That's different than crochet though.
It is. Yeah, this is machine knit. But there's so much about it that I really, really like. And sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll see some kind of fashion and I'm not about to be like, okay, I'm going to replicate this
Yeah, no,
exactly.
it's
But I'm like,
inspiration.
it is like this color is inspiration, or wow, I like this neckline. I don't see that a lot. Or I like this kind of like bobble stitch going
And
on.
the
Or
zip, is
yeah,
it a zipper on there?
it's
No.
not. It's just open front. Yeah.
Oh. You know what I have
Yeah.
now? I have these really big gold safety pins. They're big. They're like,
Ooh.
and I love it for my sweaters like that so they don't flop open when I'm trying to like move around and they stay closed. I got them on
Oh,
Amazon, big
cute.
gold safety pins.
I'm gonna
And
look that up because that's
oh,
exactly
oh
my
my
thing.
God, it was like I've been putting them in my packages when I mail, when I, sell something. I've been saying here's a little fun thing for you. They don't know what to use it for, but I do, and I can think of a million things to use it for, but definitely on
Yes.
the sweaters because I got big boobs and they're always flying open. So
You need some protection. Yeah.
if you need me to send you one, I will.
Oh, that's so kind of you. I made myself a note. I'm gonna go look that up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you can't find it, please circle back. That's easy.
I will
So
let you
tell me
know.
about your Instagram and how is being a content creator kind of changed you as an artist?
Yeah. So It's interesting that you bring that up. So another reason I joined the Craft Industry Alliance is that they're doing a mastermind right now for social media, and I was like, that's where I want to be. I want to sign up for that. And we just had our first meeting today. So we had this hour-long meeting about social media and where we've been and what we want to do. And I actually cannot stand Instagram.
I
It is
know.
my least favorite place to be.
I
I was
know.
on it 20 years ago,
I
not
know.
20, probably like 16 years ago when it
Yeah,
first
me too.
started.
Hmm.
And I never felt like I fit in or I belonged. It never felt authentic. I always felt like I had to fit this mold. So I will say that do I have a presence on Instagram? Yeah. But it like just hurts my feelings to even be there. So in terms of social media, my favorite place to be is my very own Facebook groups. And I have a group for American Crochet Association and Salena Baca Crochet. And what I love about creating content specifically for those groups is that I do have something really specific that I want to share. And it's shared with people who take courses from me, who follow my patterns. So I really love having a space where they can ask me questions. They can share what they've done. And that way, we're all in this community group together. And it's not just me with a megaphone posting pretty pictures, it's all of us doing something with a common goal in mind.
I love that. So make sure that you give me the links to both of those so that
I
everybody
will.
that's listening right now can follow her in on Facebook and they'll be posted
Hmm.
below. Now, I started my mastermind group too with a Nest, which is the Tory Birch group, which we just kind of started, but it really is about these groups that we're forming that we're doing online with other people. They really are about accountability too, because you're going to go, oh, I mean, I really believe that you and I together, we have two great brains, but we're making one really good brain and that we're working in synergy here. And that is what the mastermind groups are. So,
Yes.
masterminding is really important and I really believe in it. And the people that are in my mastermind group, they're really helping. And I know another friend, we're all part of this huge circle, but she actually pays for a mentor a lot of money every week to hold her accountable. I'm like, and she's gone really far. I've really watched her zoom forward. Like it has made a difference. But it does make a difference if you have the ability to talk to people and work out things or just be inspired and learn. Like
Yeah.
1 hour a week, yeah, it's easier than watching a YouTube. So yeah, if you ever have any questions, you should come to me and I'll help you if there's anything in your mastermind group. You're like, what is this? Like, because I got social media down. Like, oh, so what else are you doing? So are you going to go to H&H? Is that one of your shows? Or like, where do you sell your products besides Facebook? Anywhere, tell me about that process.
Yeah, so Facebook is more so it's community cultivation. It's where I can get people to know, like, and trust me. I consider my Facebook group kind of like inviting people into my living room. So I just kind of host it with that in mind. I love that people can come in and they're not just a number. It's not just like a a count. It's actual conversation. So that's what I like most about that. Um, H&H, I went the first year and I was a speaker. I had a few different speaking events there, really loved, enjoyed the experience, met up with people that I've known in the industry for a really long time and made some new connections. That's always great. I didn't feel like it was something that I could do every year. And now this is what the fifth year that they've been around, and I'm not planning on going this year. But I think that that's going to change because my goal is again, like I just want to assure crochet is passed through the generations in better hands than we found it. And I'm not the best or the greatest or the smartest, um, but it's really fun to share my perspective and what I've created with people. What do I sell? I don't sell tangible things. Well, outside my publisher sells my books, so that's really nice. Anywhere books are sold. But everything else that I do is e-commerce. So I do have online courses. So anything that you want to learn in the crochet world, I've created a course at the American Crochet Association. That way you can learn, you can build your skills, you can earn a certificate to teach crochet. You can build a crochet business. You can write patterns.
Oh, look,
Everything that I've learned, I've put it together.
you just got
And
a
then
thumbs up
crochet
by,
patterns.
you just got a thumbs up from the computer.
It doesn't do that when it thinks you're doing that. Like, is it one of those kind of
That's
things?
crazy.
Like,
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, so they go on the American Crochet
association. Long
Association.
name, amazing results.
Okay, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Have you thought about selling them on Etsy or anywhere else? Like, how's that?
Yeah, so I do sell my patterns on Etsy, and then I do have some templates that I sell on Etsy. Etsy is not one of my favorite places. I feel like I haven't quite figured out how to scale my enterprise
I
there. So I
know.
have a presence there. But I find that I really just am laser focused on what works really well. Instead of having an omnipresence, I have platforms everywhere, but where do I spend my time and check in every day? It's really just my Facebook group, my community.
Okay. Well, I think I think that's really great for people to see because it is really easy to spread yourself thin and not have that. It takes up so much time, like it sucks your time. All of these,
Yeah.
we're creating this free content for these mega corporations to
Yeah.
keep everybody engaged, and it can be quite a bore and a chore. So
Yes.
I'm glad that you have those people, and the interaction is really an important part of the feedback that you're getting on how you move forward, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
What
right.
what's coming up soon for you? Like what's the next thing on your besides okay, you got a mastermind group and you're in your Facebook group and you're creating things for your books. Kamos, what up?
Oh, I have a corgi healer who has a lot of opinions, especially while I'm chatting. It's probably who you hear in the background.
Oh,
I
is it a boy or a
so
girl?
boy, his name is Goose.
Goose, duck, duck,
Yeah.
goose. I gotcha. Hi, Goose. I
Hey,
miss
Goose.
I miss not
Now
having
he's
a dog.
oh, I love him. He's great. He's
Yeah.
my buddy. He's
Yeah.
my
Does he,
coworker.
does he wear little sweaters? Do you name
He
little
will
sweaters?
not allow any kind of clothing. He
Ah,
absolutely protests. Yeah.
no hats, no booties.
No hats, no booties, no sweaters. No. He is not that kind of man.
Okay, my husband won't wear my jewelry. It's the same thing. Like seriously.
What's up with that? I know my husband's allergic to crochet. He's not, but he's like, I can't, it's too hot. I can't wear that.
Now, do
I
you
know.
teach anywhere like locally where you are?
I do. I volunteer locally. So I've got a great local yarn shop here, and they have a fantastic community space.
What's the name? Give him a
So
shout out. Let's hear him.
Fancy Work Yarn Shop here in Bend, Oregon. I've met some fantastic people there. We meet every single week. For the past year, we've been meeting every Thursday from 1 to 3. And it's free. I just volunteer my time. If people come with questions, I'll kind of help them through things. But really, it's just we get together and it's crochet, fashion, food, friendship. It's all of those things. It's great.
And maybe some day drinking sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, we usually like sometimes afterwards we'll go get dinner. We'll go get like a little happy hour. So yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
because that is nice, and it also it's supporting that whole your whole community there. Because I'm
Yes.
sure in Bend, I don't know how big Bend is. How big is
Oh,
Bend?
it's big. Yeah, it's a big little city.
Oh, okay. Now I have to say that I grew up on my grandmother's knee, like learning how to crochet and not knit, but she did tatting or whatever. And that really took me, and embroidery, and that really took me. And as an adult, later I had a little bit of wire and some beads, and I kind of, re-thought about all that she taught me. And I loved my grandmother. So my first book is dedicated to her because that was really the
Oh,
basis of starting jewelry for me. So it has such long legacy when we're teaching children. You never know how it's going to come out. How do you feel about teaching children like or young people because it keeps their hands busy, which is it's a really great skill to learn because they can
yeah.
make
I
things for
think
themselves.
absolutely. I mean, I learned how to crochet when I was 5 years old, and it was just something that stuck with me. And the reason I am even, neck deep in this business now, and the reason my driving force is to assure crochet is passed through the generations in better hands than we found it, is that in crochet, and I imagine this is true for a lot of different, skills that are passed, from one person to another, we're taught the way we were taught, which isn't always a great foundation. You're not always passing along all the pieces or the terminology or the verbiage. And so I think that anyone who wants to learn crochet, no matter what their age is, I want to make sure that they can learn or they have someone who can teach them that will give them the best foundation possible. I don't ever want anyone to walk into crochet, have a lesson and go, well, this is just way too hard. I can't do this. I don't ever want that to happen.
Elizabeth in our group, and I'm not going to say her name right, because I'm terrible with names, but it starts with an O. She was in Africa, and I would love for you to meet her. She's a lovely person. I've had her on my podcast. And she has a quest to teach 20,000 children in Africa so that they can have a skill, keep busy
Whew.
with their hands, and it's not an expensive hobby or business, and they can make things, little hats and whatever. It does get cold there at night. So that she's like traveling all over Africa. And I think if you had any extra yarn, don't ever throw it away because
Oh, I would
Elizabeth,
never.
yeah, I know
It's
you
a
would never. I would never throw a bead
never.
away. I would dig that bead. There was a bead I found today, like randomly in my pill bottle. I'm like, what the heck is it? It was a Swarovski crystal bead. I must have picked it up, had it in my hand, and thought, don't let this go away. And then there
Right.
it was. I'm like, okay, well, we got to put that back on the table because I don't know how that
Exactly.
goes. But it's the same thing with yarn, right? Like every
It's
little
the
bit of
mark of the
yarn.
maker, right? I think it's a good way to weed out, the non-believers.
If they don't keep all their little scraps, then they are not a good.
Are they really a crocheter if they don't hoard yarn? Like, I
I
don't
don't
know.
even think they're an artist. I don't think they
Mm,
have any reason to be crocheting. Like, give that yarn back to me.
exactly.
We
Exactly.
also have other people that I've interviewed from our podcast, from our group, CIA, which make yarn. And that's a fascinating process. Tell me about what yarn do you use?
Yeah. So I like to, for my own personal, what I do with my craft, I love any kind of yarn. I know some people have very specific interests, like I only use wool or natural fibers, or I don't use acrylic. I really like to use all different kinds, all weights from all backgrounds. Whenever I am writing patterns for books, and because these books are available anywhere books are sold, I want to make sure that when people pick up one of my books that they can find these yarns whenever they go to a place where they buy yarn. So lately, I've really only been working with commercial yarn companies where if you do walk into any kind of local store, Joann's, Michael's,
Yeah,
Walmart, Hobby Lobby, you're probably going to see one of those yarns on the shelf. So it just feels so much more accessible to you.
that's very important.
Hmm.
And we have somebody in our group that only uses yarn from one breed of sheep, like just that one
Yes.
very specific location within her 50-mile range. She only like that's
Wow.
her
That's
thing.
really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're good. We're good. So I get that. Like there's a whole need for that to have, all different kinds of people using all different kinds of yarn. What are you working on right now?
I'm working on my next book. I do a couple a year with my publisher, so I feel like we've had a good process for producing things. My next book, I don't think I could really tell you
Okay.
about it that much
Okay.
right now, but here are the things right here, so you could at least see some of the colors that I'm using.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am almost finished with that book. And then I have two more books I'm going to be doing this year. So this year is a little hectic. I'm doing three books.
Are you doing all your own photography and writing up all the steps yourself?
I do. So my publisher allows me a lot of creative input. So I make all of my own samples. I write all of my own patterns. I have all of them proofed and tech edited on my end. Of course, they have a professional process as well, but before it even gets to them, I want to make sure that it's as good as it can be. And then I can pick my own photographers. So I've used a few different ones in the past just based on availability. And then I've even kind of taken some pictures myself, although I'm not very good at it, but I did a little bit in the past. So yeah, I really love that I can have that much input in the entire process of every book that I put out.
I agree. I took all the photos from my book. And do you find that
Mm.
from your first book to now, how much you've improved? Can you feel that?
Every single thing that I do is an improvement from the last. Every single thing. I was just writing a pattern. Like I have published almost 500 patterns in my career. So
Dang,
I'm saying
dang.
that to say that I was just writing a pattern for this next book, and it occurred to me to do something different that I'd never done before. I'd never even considered doing before. And it was such a simple thing that I was like, oh, so yes, I am always learning and growing. And whatever I do today, of course it can be better tomorrow, but all I can do is the best today. Yeah.
I look back on writing my first book. I would get up at like 5 in the morning and work. I had a day job, and then I would take the stuff there, and on my lunch break, take the pictures, and then run home, and then we'll do some more, and then do some more. And like it was just it was a fun, happy, creative time. Like I wish that somebody would have put the brakes on me a little bit more and said, "Hey,
Mm.
wait a second, like what are you making here? Like this is kind of I was just rolling with it. I'm like, this is so good. I thought they would like cut some stuff, but they didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I
Wow.
went down a rabbit hole, but it was fun. And then I did another book and blah blah blah. But it's
And
a
then
lot of
another, and
work.
another.
So I vouch
It
for you.
is.
I understand, from my limited experience, how much work it is to create a book, but it is your legacy. So it is
Yes.
something that will be, there with you at all times. And it does give you
Yeah.
such social credibility, just totally because you're an author. Like, seriously, like, don't you feel?
I think I think that you're right. And I will say, even though I have published a lot of books, I really put so much time and effort, and I work with not only my own community, but with my publisher about what could be perceived as valuable. I don't ever want to just produce something just to produce it. I don't ever want to have quantity over quality. So another thing that I really enjoy about the books that I produce is that, yeah, I want people to see, oh, Selena's an author and here's what she's done. But I love that you can put anything that I do under a microscope. And I hope that there's some value and some sort of teaching element that will excite you and make you want to learn crochet, or will give you something that makes you feel like you have a craft that brings joy to your life. So, yeah.
You're always learning something, I bet too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love to have that mindset. I love to have the mindset of I'm the leader of the learners in my space. We're all learning together, and
Oh,
maybe
well,
I
I
learn
love
something and I
that.
pass it on to you.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah.
I love to say, well, so many people, and no shade, but it's just not my mindset. So many people say, "Oh, I'm an expert." And whether or not I believe that about myself, that doesn't really connect or resonate with me. I'd rather just always feel like there's always something I can learn. And because this is my profession, I have the time to learn things that if you want to do what I'm doing, I'll show you what worked best for me.
So when you are meeting someone for the very first time, what how do you introduce yourself? What do you say to these people who you are? Because I bet they ask and they're like, what? I don't do what?
I, I see all of this as my job, but I look at it as like there's not a separation. It is who I am. Like I am a crocheter. So a lot of times I just tell people that, oh yeah, I have my own business. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I crochet. And if they're interested and they want to know more, I'll let them lead. I never just pitch and say, oh, this is who I am and this is what I do and here's my resume. So I always start with I'm an entrepreneur, and if they're interested and they want to hear more, then I'll give them I'll kind of, answer that specific question. But I find that very few people, ask me more questions beyond that. So I'll tell people exactly what they want to know, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You're hiding it. I think that you should like say,
I
I'm a professional crocheter. Like,
no,
really?
I
That would
don't.
like mic would drop, like
No,
bam, like here you go.
no, because
You're a
I
deal.
think that it's interesting, but I don't think it's the most interesting thing about myself. I'm actually far more interested in other people. Um, I'm far more interested in what other people like and what they do. And so I think typically whenever I meet somebody new, it's much more about me getting to know them. And if they're really very interested in getting to know me, then yeah, we'll have that conversation. But I will allow other people to lead it.
Well, this has been a really great time with you today, and I'm so glad that you've been on my podcast. And thank you for coming to me and being my new friend forever. And I just so mean that. Like I am Salena, I am not being like verbose. It's like forever. If you're just like, oh, I needed to like chat, pick up the phone, girl. I never want anybody to cry alone or not think that we're not somebody's not here for them. You're in the car and you're like, oh, I got this really good news and I don't have anybody to share it with. Because sometimes I don't. Even my husband, he's like, I hear it. I'm like, okay, 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 get you. I understand you're overdone today because he comes home exhausted. So I
Yeah,
don't have that. So please know that. And I'm so glad that you've been on my podcast today. And I hope that other people will follow you on Facebook and buy
thank
your
you.
books and support you in every way possible. And we want to know that we're really proud of you and that you're doing a great job as an artist. And please know that. So, we're friends forever, Salena, and thank you.
Oh, this has
Yeah, it's
been
for sure, for
lovely.
sure, it's for sure. So our time is winding up, and I don't want to be cut off at the last second, but do you have one more thing to say? Anything you want to say to your peeps out there?
I just want to say that crochet has been such a joy in my life, and I really love connecting with people. And if that speaks to you, then come and follow along.
It's all about joy. Like that's
That's
every
what it
day
is.
needs to all be about joy.
That's
So
right.
thank you very much. This has been Salena Baca, and she is a extraordinary crocheter. You can find her books anywhere books are sold. Just look for her name. The links will be down below. And thank you for listening to our podcast, Jewelry as Your Side Hustle with Sugar Gay Isber. And it's grit and growth today. So we're gonna like really grow with you today. And we're so happy you're here. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And hallelujah, we got it done.